Quick question. 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 Quick question.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to Quick Question. I'm Jonathan.
I'm the other one. I'm Travis.
Travis, quick question.
What you got?
What is the most important piece of advice and or lesson your parents ever taught you?
That's a tough one. As I feel, this is weird. This is a weird one. I feel it was more like what not to do is kind of what I learned from my
that
parents.
Could be a lesson.
You know,
that could be.
It wasn't anything they said so much as I was like, oh, that's where this leads. Maybe I don't do that.
Did they kind of let you choose your own path and kind of learn by mistake? Death by fire?
Well, sort of. I mean, no, they were very involved parents. Like they more involved than any of my other friends' parents, to the point where I was like
helicopter parents.
No, we didn't have a helicopter. We were very poor. They were just very involved in my.
They're more like bicycle parents.
Yeah, they were more rickshaw parents. They just carried me around everywhere, and I was in the back going, "No, I wanted to go there."
That's
but
amazing.
You said that was too much. One thing I learned from my dad is don't go to Vietnam. Apparently, that messes you up. That's what I learned real fast.
You know what's really crazy?
You went to Vietnam.
I didn't.
Okay.
But this is the weirdest thing ever. I can't believe you just said that. The other night, I had this crazy dream. Because I always, when that guy, the kid who recently died who came back from North Korea?
No.
You didn't hear about this?
No.
Yes. You know the kid that, stole something in North Korea?
No.
Okay. Maybe a year ago, a little less than a year ago, this kid from, I want to say Virginia. I could be wrong about that. But he went on this, school trip to North Korea. And he wound up stealing something from the hotel and got caught. And they sentenced him to 15 years of hard labor.
Well, you don't fuck with North Korea.
Yeah. Well, then he wound up being in
a bathrobe or something.
No, it was like a poster on the wall in his hotel, and it was like
okay. I don't know if that's 15 years of hard labor, but that is a
welcome
dumb
to
thing.
North Korea.
Yeah, that is a dumb thing to do.
So he got sentenced to 15 years of hard labor, and after 6 months, he was in a coma, and they brought him back over to the States. They had him brought back to the States, and they did some work on him, and they said that his brain was so damaged. He had massive brain damage and stuff like that. He'd been tortured, and he died. He was 22 years old when he died. And so I tweeted recently, I said, number one, don't go to North Korea.
Yeah, that seems like a bad idea off the bat.
Number two, if you go to North Korea, don't steal anything.
Yeah.
Number three.
I'm sure they have a gift shop. Yeah. Just go get a trinket there. Yeah.
Don't fucking go to North Korea.
See number one. Yeah. Yeah.
So you were saying, don't go to Vietnam, but I had this, so after, that whole thing of me tweeting this, obviously my opinion is known, don't go to fucking North Korea.
Right.
I had this crazy dream that I went to North Korea and I got caught doing something there.
What did you do?
I don't remember, but I had to escape North Korea.
Did you go there in the astral plane and steal some stuff?
I don't know, man. It was real. It was real. It was really, really horrifying. I was like, I'm going to be locked up in jail forever.
Wow.
So anyway, so they told you not to go to Vietnam.
No, I mean, not directly. And by not like
was your dad a vet?
My dad's a vet, yeah.
Okay.
Not don't go visit Vietnam. Don't go fight a war is what my dad. Okay. That's what I learned from my dad. Because my dad, early on, looking back on it, I realize now, needed to talk about things. I don't know if child me was the person to tell these stories to.
I cut a man's throat with a plastic spoon.
So you've heard the story.
He's laying down on a couch. You think he's talking to a therapist. I cut a man's throat with a plastic spoon. He died very slowly. It pulls back to you, 9-year-old Travis.
It's just me going, so I can have another pudding cup? Where are we with this? I just want to know if I can go swimming. Is that okay?
Amazing.
Yeah. I will say, though, in all honesty, they did teach me some stuff. My dad taught me hard work. He taught me to stick with it. My mom was really great at actually teaching me things. I learned a lot of what are those things called? Like little learning devices
You're doing this with your hand.
I'm doing
I was
because I'm
like a kitty cat clock with a tail that swings.
It's like my mom was a kitty cat clock. I had a very weird childhood.
They teach you to learn. Homeschooling.
No, they're like devices. So that
now you're playing the flute.
Oh, God, I'm gonna kill you. Mnemonic devices, things that help you remember things.
A mnemonic device is something that you say. Like
Right.
Yeah.
My mom taught me to use those to remember things. She taught me how to use that. Like I would have to learn. I'm awful at spelling. Anything I know how to spell well, I learned from my mom because she would teach me.
She taught you a mnemonic device to learn how to spell.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know if that's the right word. That's why I'm asking for help. And instead,
a mnemonic device would be like never eat sour watermelon to help you learn like northeast, southwest, like the directions.
I'm already lost. What happened?
Never north, eat sour watermelon, north, east, southwest. That's a mnemonic device.
Oh, all right. Well, I can't tell how to my directions anyway, so that's not going to help. I got lost.
Up, down, left, right.
Yeah, I got lost coming into this room, and I live here. No, whatever it was. Like she taught me how to spell things by like giving me like little
like sing-song stuff.
Yes, sing-song stuff. That's not a mnemonic device.
I don't know. It could be.
Yeah, I know how to spell Mississippi this day because of something my mom did. MISSISSIPPI. It's like a swing. That's what she did to me, and she would just make me, God,
clever lady, your mom.
Wow, I hope I spelled Mississippi right just now. Otherwise, I'm going to feel like a real idiot.
MIPPISSIPPP.
Yeah. What else did they teach me? I feel weird saying this, but I really did learn a lot of negative lessons from my folks. Like
that's not weird saying that. I mean, that happens a lot.
But I feel like, it's your parents. Like you're supposed to be like.
My mom used to beat the shit out of me.
All right, well now I feel so bad.
I learned. You know what? Maybe I don't want to hit my kids. Maybe, but not. And look, let's get something straight. She didn't just like beat the shit out of me. She wasn't like some abusive, mother. She abused me, but
right,
mentally more than anything. But no, if I did something bad, I get a crack in the ass.
Yeah.
As a kid.
Okay. You want to hear a weird story? This isn't really something I learned from my dad, but it was like I, as a child, learned quickly how to care for someone else because of something that happened. Mm-hmm. This is not a funny story. I don't know why I'm bringing this up.
Okay.
When we first moved to California, I was only about 6 years old. I turned 6 in California my first year living here. It was like first month or two I turned 6. So by the time I was 7 or 8, I saw something that kind of messed me up. My dad and I went to an Orange Julius because who doesn't love frothy orange drinks?
What the hell's an Orange Julius?
You don't know what an Orange Julius is?
Is that an establishment?
Yeah, it's a...
I know the drink an Orange Julius.
Right.
But I never heard of the establishment called Orange Julius.
Yeah, they also sold burgers and stuff, but mainly the thing they sold was that frothy orange drink.
The Orange Julius.
Yes. Well, a second ago, you had no idea what I was talking about.
No, I know. There's a drink called an Orange Julius.
Right. There's a place called Orange Julius that sells the Orange Julius. That's part
the Orange Julii.
Yes. They're the shadow government.
Can I have, what's the plural for Orange Juliuses? Julii? I'll take 3 Orange Julii. All right, so you go to this Orange Julius.
So we go to this Orange Julius, which was inside of a big, shopping mall, right? It was at the end of it, and the glass doors looked into the parking lot of this place.
Gotcha.
The place is still here. Actually, they're getting ready to tear it down and turn it into something else. But at the time when I was a kid, it was a giant shopping mall. And we're walking by the Orange Julius, and here comes a guy with no shirt. You can see him on the other side in the parking lot, just running. He's running from the cops. And the cops are on foot chasing after him, and they fucking shoot him. They shoot him. Bang, falls down, bleeding, gunshot wound, and he's not dead, but
holy shit.
They handcuff him. They start handcuffing him, and my dad starts doing this like weird twitching thing. Like he starts freaking out. And I'm like 7, and he's squeezing my hand like so hard that I'm like, I think my hand's going to break. I don't know how I knew what was going on, but I was like, okay, I got to get my dad home. It's time to get my dad home and get him. Like, he basically started having like a Vietnam flashback.
Yeah, like PTSD.
Yeah. He told me later when I was older, he was like, we weren't in the mall anymore. We were in this field in Vietnam. That guy was a guy
stuff's real,
in
man.
my platoon, and there were helicopters coming, and I got like all freaked out, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So I learned kind of early on to like recognize when somebody needs help, and not because they were saying I need help, but because it was like this thing was happening.
Yeah. And that's the last time I ever went to an Orange Julius.
You weren't there, man.
I saw some shit. Saw some shit at the Julius. Well, the reason why I asked you this whole question, because I was, I've been looking back a lot of my life, and I'm coming in this transition part of my life where I'm starting to think about having kids, and I watched my niece. We had a sleepover last night. My niece came over. Mm-hmm. We made gummy bears. They were delicious.
That was cool.
They were delicious. I thought about bringing them over to you, and I finished them all.
Oh, good, yeah. Because I would have.
I can make another batch. Yeah. They're really easy. But I'm thinking about having kids, and I started thinking about what are some really cool lessons that I want to teach my kid. And I keep going back to my grandfather. My grandfather, Angelo, my mom's dad. Bad dude.
Bad dude?
Bad dude.
There's bad dude grandpas?
Oh, he was a bad motherfucker.
See, I never had a grandpa. They were all passed away by the time
Let me tell you a quick story about my grandpa.
Let's hear it.
I was maybe 12, 13.
Okay.
My brother Jeff had just been working at this new park. He's got a job. He was working in the park district. He was a supervisor at this park. And he just bought a brand new Jeep Wrangler. So he goes to the park in his Wrangler. He had to kick some gangbangers out of the park, and they were not happy about it. So they flattened his tires. They slashed his tires on his car. And there was a housing project. And he dealt with all this kind of shit.
It's like a weird...
South side of Chicago.
It's like an urban version of Jurassic Park. You got to go drive a Wrangler around to flush out the...
Well, no. He parked his car and worked in the clubhouse.
Got it. Okay.
So he wakes me up at night. I was sleeping in bed. And he wakes me up and he's like, John, put your boots on. We got to go take care of something. So I'm like, all right.
That rarely goes well.
Yeah. So I put my work boots on. And we go downstairs. My grandfather lived in the apartment below us. So we go downstairs and we make my grandfather up. I'm like, Pop, wake up. Why are you on? He wakes up. My brother tells him what happened. And he goes, hold on. And he gives my brother a gun.
What?
Oh, yeah. He gives my brother a gun.
How old is...
I was 13 at the time, 12 or 13. So he gives my brother a gun. And he gives me a switchblade. And he said...
Well, because you're underage.
Yeah, and he looks at me. But he looks at me and he says... If you pull it out, you better use it, because you're going to jail either way. He said to me.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I grew up. Now, that being said, my grandfather was a very wise man. And the best advice...
Sounds like he was a wise guy.
He can't confirm nor deny that. Can't confirm nor deny that. So he said the best piece of advice he ever gave me, and I still think about it every day, he would always say to me as I left the house, because I would always... go down and exit our building through his apartment, through the front door. And he'd always be sitting in his chair watching TV. I'd be like, I'll talk to you later, Pop. And he'd always look at me and go, be good. If not, be careful.
That is good advice.
I love it. And to this day, I live by it. It's like my mantra, be good. If you're going to be bad, cover your ass.
Sure.
I
would 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
The only real great advice my dad gave me was, my dad is also a stand-up comedian. And when I told him that I wanted to do it, I asked him for any advice.
The best advice my dad, don't.
That's exactly what he said.
No, you're kidding me.
I am not kidding you. That is exactly what he said.
No way.
Yes, it is. That was totally where I was going with that, because that is what he said to me.
Get out of here.
And I think about that every day, because I was like, I think he was joking, but I also think he was serious.
Just the one word.
Yeah. And if you're thinking about getting into stand-up comedy, that's the advice I would give you. Don't, because one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to heed that and not go into it, which means you didn't really want to do it, and that you don't have that burning fire in you to go get on stage and go through all the stuff you got to go through to get good at comedy. Or you're going to go, no, I have this desire to do it. It doesn't matter what gets in my way. I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
And because every now and then people will ask me oh, how should I get into comedy? And I go, how bad do you is it something you want to do as a hobby? Then go check it out. If it's something you want to do as a career, don't go learn a real skill. It's awful. Yeah. It's terrible. It is.
I say the same thing about people with acting. They're like, what's your best advice for acting? And I was like, okay, take an acting class.
Yep.
Take another acting class.
Mm-hmm.
Take another acting class.
Mm-hmm.
Audition, rehearse every day. Audition another 100, 200 times. Take another acting class. Get told no a couple hundred times.
Mm-hmm.
Then finally, if you're okay repeating this for 4 years and getting one 2-line part in a TV show and having to repeat the entire process,
right?
Then and you want to stick with it, then maybe acting's for you.
Maybe.
But if you're just fuck that, don't be an actor.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
No, that's actually, you know what? Now that you say, that's another thing my dad told me, and this is a real one. Is when I first wanted to.
Wait, was the other one a fake one?
I mean, I feel like my dad was joking with me,
okay, yeah.
but I feel like the one thing that was grounded in a reality that he told me is he said, are you okay with tolling away for 30 years and no one knowing that you do anything? And then if you get successful, they consider what you do an overnight success.
Yeah.
If you're okay with that, then go for it. But if that seems awful to you, don't. And I think about that all the time. Because you think about stories like, I don't know if you've heard the story of how Chevy Chase got discovered. He was in line behind Lorne Michaels at like a ball game or something. And the idea was like, oh, here's this guy who was just so funny and impressed Lorne Michaels while in line that he got to be on Saturday Night Live.
That's not true. It can't be true.
I think maybe that's how they met.
Right.
But it's not like he was just some dude who'd never done comedy.
No, because that doesn't, yeah.
Right. You know, like that's not how that works. So it's all the other stuff that he did before that gets lost in that story. And now it's like, I was just there and I cracked a couple of wise jokes and the producer of this
Hey, Lauren, why did the chicken cross the road?
he was like, I'm Chevy Chase and you're not. And he's like, oh my God, you got to be on TV. And then, so that was a good piece of advice.
It's funny. Melissa told me not to send this tweet the other day. So I have people like constantly on social media asking me, give me some advice. What's the best piece of advice for a new actor? And this kid goes to me, he sends on a tweet. He's like, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to be an actor but is afraid speaking in front of people? And I go, don't be a fucking actor. I was like, that's not. It's like, what kind of advice would you give to someone who wanted to be an artist but is afraid of pencils and paint?
Right.
It's like,
I faint at the sight of blood, but how can I be a surgeon?
Yeah,
you can't.
You can't, man.
That's not how it works.
No.
Literally part of the job.
You can't act with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you can if it's necessary in the scene.
The best advice you'd give that kid, be a writer.
No, it's true. Yeah.
Go do that. That way you can inhabit the idea of what a character would say, put it down on paper, but be okay with somebody else doing it.
Yeah.
Do that job. There, we solved that kid's problem.
You know, I really recently started watching this amazing television show.
The Leftovers. I love it. It's my favorite show that's
Stop
ever
it.
been. Okay.
Stop it. You stop it. This instant.
See what happens in the
Stop it.
I'm going to win you over. I'm going to get you.
Maybe after this show, but I'm watching this amazing show by Steve Conrad. It's called The Patriot.
Oh,
or not even The Patriot.
yeah,
It's called Patriot.
right.
It's on Amazon, and it's one of the most intelligent, funny, like laugh out loud funny shows I've seen in a very long time. It's basically about this reluctant spy, yada, yada, yada. Watch the show. I'm not going to bore you with my description. But there's a line this one guy says that really struck home. Really hit home, struck a chord. Is that?
Look, it's your world. We can strike whatever you want in it.
Hey, man, it's your pond. We're just swimming in it.
Yeah. I mean, the other day I told you I don't want to put the horse before the cart. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. You were like, do you mean the cart before the horse? I'm like, whatever.
You know what I was talking about.
I don't want to put the wheel thing before the living thing.
Whatever, man. It's your yard. We're just swimming in it. Makes no sense.
It doesn't.
So anyway, this guy said something that I liked. And it was, you are that which you cannot stop doing.
Right.
And it's true. And I started thinking about that. And I was like, in terms of like defining who I am as a person. And I'm like, who am I? What can I not stop doing?
Eating burritos.
I love burritos. I'm a burrito enthusiast. Yeah. I champion burritos. But I also thought, and I was like, you know, what about like acting? I was like, can I stop acting? And I go, well, I do stop every once in a while when I'm on hiatus. And,
sure.
You know, always with the intention of going back to it. But when I'm on hiatus, what do? And I was like, well, I'm doing a podcast and I'm opening an establishment and I'm writing nonstop. And for me personally, what I started thinking about was I am a creator.
Yep.
You know?
Right.
I have to keep creating. That is who I am.
Absolutely. And that I think the trap you fall into when you're younger, and going back to the thing with the parents, I don't know if my dad ever learned this lesson, to be honest, is that just because you have a success in one thing, that doesn't have to define you. Like, keep expanding what you're comfortable doing. That's one thing that I've learned as I've gotten older is I was decent at acting. I never had the success that I wanted at it, but I've been writing since I was a kid. I started writing when I was a kid because no one made the stories that I wanted. Right. So I was like, all right, I'm going to make them then. Not really even realizing what that meant until now I'm older. And same thing, I write every day.
Guys, for those of you that don't know this little fun fact about my liege over here, let me tell you something why I admire him. Because I always say, you are that which you cannot stop doing. Travis writes at least 1,000 words every day.
Every day.
Every day. He sits down, and we're not talking just like like journal entries. He goes creative writing every day, 1,000
Well,
words.
some of them are journals, but like if I'm
God damn
super
it, you
tired,
fucking stepping on me here, Trav.
I just want to make sure it's honest. I don't.
Quit fucking me up, Trav.
I mean,
They're
yes,
gonna think I'm a liar.
the things that no one has. And by the way, no one's read these things. No one knows they exist except you.
And now every one of our subscribers.
Right, everyone. If you want to read one of them, I will not let you read them. It's not what they're for.
But anyway, that's like that. That's the thing. You know, when I first moved to Los Angeles, I bought these books on monologues. I tried to learn and rehearse and practice at least a monologue a day. And if I didn't feel like it was ready, and I didn't perform them for anybody, it was literally me. I didn't have a day job yet, and I would read monologues and work on them, and just kind of like stare at myself in the mirror as I'm like acting to nobody. But I just felt like it was a cool way to, you know, because I couldn't afford an acting class. I didn't have any money, so it's just a cool way for me to keep my blade sharp, you know.
That's
cool.
cool.
I think that's what you're the same way. It's like you're writing. He's a great writer, by the way. I've read some of his stuff. He's very funny. But I think it's the same thing. It's like no matter if you have everything going on, or if you just moved to Los Angeles and you have nothing going on, you got to keep you got to keep the blade sharp.
It's this weird thing that took me a long time to learn is that if you have a natural ability at something, it's real easy to just kind of go, I know how to do that.
Just rest on your laurels.
Right.
Yeah.
And you go, I got that. I don't need to go to a class for that, or I don't need to practice that. But nobody that I know that has achieved anything in the realm that I want to achieve has just been like, yeah, I just showed up and started doing the thing that day because people knew I did it. No, you got to, it's repetition. It's learn. Yeah.
Like I can assure you, Tom Brady still practices throwing a football.
Sure.
You know, he still throws, he practices. He's the greatest ever, but he still practices.
Right. Because there's this, it's you learn how to be good at something, and then you learn how to make being good at it harder so that you keep getting better. So there's like things I've started doing by doing this 1,000 words a day thing where I go, I know how to do this. I want to make it harder. And then sometimes I go, oh, it might have been a little too hard. That might have been too much.
I just thought of a really, really funny joke that my buddy told me. It's not even a joke. It's so true. It hits home, but it might be a little too explicit for our podcast.
Explicit? Well, look, I can always cut it out.
So,
all right.
My buddy, you know what they say? It takes 10,000 hours to be up to master something. Okay. Think about that the next time you get a really good blowjob.
That's amazing.
Oh God.
That's amazing.
Oh man.
Okay. All right. Blowjobs aside, let's get back to parenting. I got to admit, that's a sentence I never thought I'd say, but I say it because I'm actually considering having kids.
I was just going to say that.
Right.
So you're thinking, what would be an important lesson that you want to pass on to your son or daughter?
Learn to play guitar right now.
Really?
Right now.
Guitar or any instrument?
Yes, any instrument. I think it helps you,
go.
think in different ways.
Oh, yeah, peripheral thinking. And I think, I love that. I love that.
And also, too, I mean, I want to have a kid to go do the things I didn't get to. You know, you're going to be in a band because, you know, daddy's bands never worked out.
I thought you were going to say, go do the things that I don't want to do. Like go pick me up a gallon of milk. You know?
Well,
that's actually, wow. That was so just primal of me. Cause like literally that was something my dad used to say to me. My dad loved milk, and he had 6 kidney stones at one time in our life, but he would always make me go to the damn store and buy him milk.
Why
you know, milk? God bless him. Like, he didn't drink at all. He wasn't like this abusive alcoholic father, but he always drank milk. And I was fucking sick of going and getting him milk.
Why milk?
He loved milk. He drank milk. He would drink almost a gallon of milk a day.
That's not right.
No.
I don't think a cow drinks that much.
Yeah, but
milk.
when also you're a little kid, like a gallon of milk is heavy, and we lived on the 3rd floor in the back. We'd have to walk down and walk to the store and carry a gallon of milk. It's freezing. My hands were cold.
Wait, that's the part with the cold milk?
Winter in Chicago.
Oh, I didn't think about I've never seen. What is winter like? I've never seen one.
Winter is coming.
I think winter's here.
Winter is here. Yeah, it's here. It's here.
Yeah, it's here.
But that's where I thought you were going to. I was like having him go do all the shit you didn't want to do.
Well, I remember going over to a friend's, my parents' friend's house, so whatever, just other adults' house, and the mom was like, go get me a Pepsi. Go get me the remote. And the daughter was like, I'm tired of you telling me to do this. She goes, I didn't fucking have you and carry you for 9 months have you not get me a soda.
9 months argument is all, you know. Yeah, the 9
That's awful.
You know what my mother always said to me? I brought you into this world. I can take you out of it.
Yeah, my dad said that to me too.
Yeah.
That's another thing I realized growing up. I used to mouth off to my dad all the time.
I did too. My dad, you know what his line was when I mouthed off to him?
What?
You're frosting my potatoes. I know what that means.
What?
He would always say that. He's like, John, you're frosting my potatoes, which is his way of saying I'm pissing him off.
Sure, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to put my head around what that even means.
I don't know.
I guess it's just
You're frosting my potatoes.
You need time to back up.
Yeah.
I remember one time my dad said, "Don't get smart with me," and I went, "Okay, then I'll be done." And I got smacked
buddy.
so hard.
Yeah, buddy.
And it occurred to me one day, I was driving home from high school, and I'm going back to, these stories my dad told me early on in my life, like the first man he killed and what it was like to be a Nam and what it was like to live in the jungle and all of these things. And I was like, hold on. My dad's job for a year was to kill people. That was his job. That's what he was hired.
He would make light work out of you.
Right. Trained to do. Let's say he only got into a skirmish once a month. And let's say in each skirmish, he only killed one person. He's killed a minimum of 12 people.
Yeah.
And this is the guy I'm like, they're not going to take out the garbage. Like, what a dumb fucking move.
Yeah, dude,
yeah.
You're an idiot.
And how is he not like, I know 7 ways to kill you.
I was out one day, and we were like at a football game for my grade school or something, and I was like watching my brothers play. I was young, but I kept on like irritating my dad, like like really pushing his buttons.
Mm-hmm. Frosting his potatoes. And like he grabbed me by the throat so quick and just gave me the stare of death, like in front of everybody. And he's just like, didn't even have to say anything. It was like in the cartoons when someone like, when, the dog, like the bulldog would grab Tom by his neck and his tongue would go, he grabbed me. I swear to God, my tongue was like, and I was like, this man will kill me, Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that phrase, I brought you into this world, I can take you out, is a very real.
Yeah, but no, my dad never said that. My mom would always say
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I don't have kids, but I could see the thing of like, I haven't had you that long.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that hard to get rid of you.
Yeah.
Too much, too dark.
Get in there. Walking a fine line. Yeah. Well, first off, I don't think anyone's ever ready to have kids.
No, I learned that too. Like, that was the thing for a long time. I was like, well, I'm not ready. And I went, okay, I'm doing the math of when my parents had me. There was no way they were ready. And doctors had told them they couldn't have kids.
Yeah.
So it's not like I was this thing. They were like, time to have a kid. It just happened.
I think, no one's ever ready to have a baby. You just kind of either you want one or you don't.
Right.
And then when you get one, you're never going to be ready.
Right.
Even if you plan it, you're never ready.
And you're learning the whole time.
Yeah. And I started, like, I love my nephews and my niece. Love them beyond love. And they're not even, it's like, I remember the first time I held my nephew, Luke, like my brother's first child. I was like, the amount of love I have for this little, like, alien, it's off the charts. And this isn't even mine.
Right.
I was like, I can't imagine what it's going to be like when I have my kid. But, I mean, when they would, like, act up and shit like that, I would just be like, there you go, Jeff. There you go, Mark. They're yours. Like.
Did you say they were frosting your potatoes? Are you passing that on?
You know what?
That's got to live on.
You think?
I think so.
Is it good?
Oh, it's such an Uncle Sadowski thing to say.
Uncle John?
Uncle John. No.
Because you know what I'd say? My nephews, you know how smart ass they are.
Right.
I would be like, you're frosting my potatoes. They'd be like, you sound like Papa Bob.
How old are your nieces and nephews?
My niece will be 9 in a week. She was born on 8/8/08, which is cool. And then Luke is like 12.
I mean, those are people at that point. Like,
Yeah. But I started watching Ella when she was like 3 years old. I mean, me and Melissa would have her by like just the two of us watching her for a week. And I was just like, it's great. And like I said, she does stuff to me because she knows like I'm not her dad. But like there was like what do you call it? A buffer.
Okay.
She didn't like go completely ape shit. She didn't like throw massive temper tantrums.
Right. She's got to be on her best behavior.
Yeah.
And that's
whereas like
right.
I've seen her lose her shit before on my brothers and my sister-in-law.
Oh, just
when she didn't get her way.
Throwing a tantrum.
Oh my God.
Did you ever throw a tantrum as a kid?
Did we throw tantrums as a kid?
I threw one. I threw one tantrum. That was it.
Yeah?
I was at the grocery store at the Piggly Wiggly,
Why is it always in a public place?
Because you're seeing a thing that you want, and you're being told you don't want it.
I was at the Piggly Wiggly, and all I wanted was a pound of ham.
So you were there. I don't remember actually what it was. I remember I wanted probably like cookies or something. Yeah. And
how old are we talking here?
20. No, I was probably like 5. And I wanted the let's say cookies. I wanted the cookies. And my mom said, no, you can't have those. And I had picked up this habit from another kid that I'd go into like preschool with. And I started stomping my foot. And I was like, I want. And I didn't even get to finish cookies before it was just quack. And she went, you do not stomp your foot at me. And I never did again.
That's not a tantrum.
It's not?
No. Oh, son, you don't even know what a tantrum is.
I guess not.
One of the best stories ever was that my brother Mark, who is the middle brother, so it's Jeff's the oldest, then Mark, then me. But my brother Mark went into a tantrum in this department store one time.
Oh, you mean like...
He did the curly shuffle on the floor. He literally threw himself on the floor, kicking and screaming, crying hysterically, and started running in a circle on the floor, like on his side, like, you know, and people are walking by, like, is this kid okay? My mom's like, let him fucking cry.
Oh my God.
Let him fucking cry in the middle of a department store.
What was it about? Do you remember?
I mean, dude, he was like 6. I don't know.
Yeah, you can get worked up at 6 about dumb shit.
Yeah, maybe even younger. To be honest, I don't even know if I was around, but my mom often tells the story.
Of the time her boy had a tantrum in the Nordstrom's?
We used to have many tantrums. That, and then whenever the doctor came over, Dr. Kaufman, God rest his soul.
The doctor came over? You got house calls?
We had a pediatrician who was this Dr. Avner Kaufman, who was this lovely Jewish man who would come over, literally drive an hour to get to our house, and he did house calls for my mom. And we'd always get shots. We knew when Dr. Kaufman came over, it's like, we're getting fucking stuck, you know? And the minute he would check us, because we lived in such proximity, if one got sick, all 3 of us were sick.
Oh, gotcha.
And
but these were like vitamins or get better things, not like...
It was like a shot of penicillin.
Right.
Yeah.
Not like...
Heroin, no.
No, I was going to say like, professional strength Ritalin. Like, this will get you good for 6 months.
It was like antibiotics and stuff like that. But
so they told you.
So like literally Dr. Kaufman would come over, and like the minute he'd like check us all out, he would go in his bag, and me and my 3 brothers would be like, pew, like 3 rabbits bolting in different directions. We'd always run. This poor guy, he had... Literally, I have memories of him pulling me out, kicking and screaming from under my bed. And he would always get the job done, though, and then he'd drink wine with my grandfather. And
so the house call would go into a social visit?
Oh, he'd be with us for hours, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was a really close friend of the family, and yeah, he was...
I mean, I didn't know you grew up in the 1800s. That's amazing.
Yeah, he had like the black leather doctor's bag and everything. I swear to God.
Unreal.
Yeah. He was great, dude.
You lived in Deadwood. That's so
cool. It was great. Yeah.
Wow. Back to the kid thing, though.
Yeah.
Have you always wanted to have kids? Like, because I grew up, I was as a young man, I was like, I'll never get married. I'll never have kids. Well, I got married, and now we're at the kids. You know?
I've always, look, I think kids have always been in my tentative future.
I'm leaving it alone.
Kids have always been in that, the proverbial future. but recently, yes, I want kids. But like this summer, I'm going on a Euro trip with Melissa.
Right.
I'm going to like
Croatia.
Prague, Croatia,
right.
and Greece. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to do that for a while. If we have kids.
If you have kids, right, yeah.
And then also, like, I'm looking at tuitions. Like, there's a school in our area that's like $38,000 a year for like grade school.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
And
I'm just like, you have 2 kids. That's $80,000 a year just in grade school.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I think Santorini sounds a little better.
Right.
Yeah.
Brandy's my wife. We've been in this weird position of trying to figure out if we want kids or not. Now, I had a bunch of health stuff when I was younger, so it was like kind of off the table. So it's like if I can't get around, I can't really help raise a kid. Well, that stuff's kind of behind me now. So now I've entered what I've been calling, and no one laughs at this, so I'm not expecting this to get any kind of reaction from you at all. We've entered what I'm calling the kid life crisis, where I don't know.
Oh, God.
We're not sure what to do with it. We're not sure.
Oh, boy. You just want it. You think that's really clever, don't you?
I love it.
He's like, we've entered what's called the kid life crisis.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You can feel free to fave that on Twitter. Don't, because I didn't tweet it. But we're trying.
I like it, the kid life crisis.
I thought so. Yeah.
Man, look, I'm just giving you a hard time. It's kind of clever.
Thank you. That's, by the way, that's literally a reaction I got when I did it on stage once, where somebody just went, "It's clever." It's like not what you want to hear when you're doing stand-up.
I'll allow it.
I'll allow it, but proceed with caution, Mr. Clark. So we're trying to figure out if it's like, do we want to do it? Do we not want to do it? And let me tell you what to do when you're in that position with your significant other and you're me. Don't say this. Because Brandy said, I don't know if I want to have children. And I said, well, I'm not the one on the clock. So, wow. I was like, you can make whatever choice you want, but I'm sure my second wife will. And
That concludes another episode of Divorce.
I said it all in my mind jokingly. And from her point of view, it was just, oh, I married a monster.
Venom.
Yeah.
Venom.
I married an asshole.
Yep.
And I was like, no, it's jokes.
How do you say fun time?
Do you like jokes about not having children? And the weird way...
Do you like the joking around about how your biological clock may prevent you from having kids in the near future?
Yeah, I am a...
wild and crazy guy.
I'm a wild and fertile guy.
Amazing.
So we're still trying to figure out if that's the right move for us because, I mean, that's a big thing to do. Like we have a dog who's actually at my feet right now, and Leroy's my favorite guy in the world.
Pardon me?
My favorite dog guy in the world.
There you go.
And the responsibility of him was...
Immense.
Yeah, immense.
A puppy...
Right.
Like Moxie, when we got Moxie as a puppy, it almost ruined our relationship.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. It was bad. Taking care of a living thing, which you never done. Like, we never so much as had a fucking plant before. But,
right.
But, like, going from nothing to, and, like, complete freedom to a dog.
Right.
Was, like, it's a seismic shift in the energy and ebb and flow of a relationship.
And with the dog, you're trying to do the best by it, and there's a learning curve, and you mess up, which is the same thing that happens with parenting. But a puppy's not going to go tell a therapist what a terrible owner you were.
It's going to love you unconditionally.
Right. Well...
It's going to love you unconditionally.
Yeah. It's right.
Debatable.
Yeah, it's debatable. So, the weird way, this is just a weird story.
Lay it on me.
The weird way I found out that I wanted to possibly be a father. And again, I spent a good decade of my life saying, because my first girlfriend wanted to have kids, like when I was 15.
You're like, I'm out.
No, I was like, I want to finish high school. What are you talking about? And she's like, how many kids do you think we'll have? 0, because I don't think I'll be dating you in another year. Like we're children.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of tempered my opinion of children. So when we bought this house, this is so weird. I got emotionally attached to a praying mantis that was in our garden. Like I got to see him kind of grow and like get bigger.
Did you name him?
We just called him Mantis Buddy. So I mean, not really.
Right. Not the cleverest name, but
no.
whatever.
I mean, look, I was experimenting. I wasn't really. I hadn't fully committed.
Revise, revision.
Right. Didn't even have Leroy yet, so we hadn't named anything. But I don't know if you know this. Like mantises do this weird thing.
Wait, did you just try and actually state that you were new to naming things?
Yes.
We didn't even have Leroy. Like, we've never named anything.
It
doesn't take practice.
Sure it does. Everything's already named for you. This is a microphone. I didn't have to come up with that.
All right, go on.
Right.
So you have Mantis Buddy.
Me and Mantis Buddy, we see them. And when mantises grow, they shed their entire skeleton. And you find these weird little like face hugger alien things that's their former skin all across the place as they get bigger. But if when they're shedding that, they fall or get bumped, it really messes them up. In fact, it usually kills them. So our buddy was hanging and he got knocked off of something and he was all messed up. And he was just sitting in the corner for like a long time, like unable to move. He couldn't go anywhere. And like we'd leave stuff out for it, like leaves. I don't know what mantises eat. We'd put
insects.
Yeah. Well, I didn't catch him any. Just gave him a lot of lettuce. I was like,
fun fact, mantises actually have a severe leaf allergy.
It got to the point where he wasn't getting any better and I felt bad that he was suffering.
No, you didn't.
I took my thumb.
No, you didn't.
Smushed his head and killed him because he had been there for like 5 days at this point, and he wasn't getting better. And as I did it, I was like, I might want to have kids. Like it was this weird, like thing of like, I don't know why those two connected at that moment.
Okay, let's back up here.
I told you it was a weird story.
Let's just back it up. Let's just pump the brakes here.
All right.
How did you know he wasn't getting better?
Because he was starting to turn colors that aren't a healthy color. And
do you think that maybe he was turning colors because he just shed his skin?
No. Because when they shed the skin, they're bright green and then they turn brown. He was turning black, like he was decaying. He was not getting better.
Right.
And he hadn't moved. He hadn't moved from that spot in 5 days. Like I started reading up like what's the most compassionate way to kill
to kill a praying mantis?
Yeah. If you're curious, put him in the freezer. That's one way you can. I didn't want to do that. That just felt like prolonging it.
Wow.
So I smushed his head and he lives on.
And that was the moment I knew. Hey, you know what? I need more of me in this world. All right, let's recap, folks. Sure. So Travis learned a lot about what not to do from his parents.
Oh my God.
I grew up on the set of The Sopranos.
Yes. When someone in your family is getting upset with you, you are frosting their potatoes.
Yes, I'm frosting their potatoes. What else? Don't go to Orange Julius.
Don't watch a man get shot.
Don't watch people get shot. And if you're going to kill a praying mantis, put it in the freezer. Be sure to reach out on all the socials. I'm at Sadowski23.
I'm Mr. Travis Clark. We're also at QuickQPod on all of the socials, too, if you want to follow just the show.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Quick question.
Did you know that mantises were considered to have supernatural powers by early civilizations, including ancient Greece? I know what you're saying. You're saying, shut the front door. Well, open it back up, because Uncle Manny ain't gonna lie to you. Hell, my Aunt Daphne still blesses her feta with praying mantis. And because of this, and many other reasons, I decided to start Manny Marcos's Mantis Sanctuary and Pita Pit. Come on down and experience the finest in the preferential treatment of mantises, praying mantises, and an array of other mantidae. Mantidae is science word. Whilst experiencing the finest in fresh casual Greek cuisine, from Deroplatis to Domades, and from Moussaka to the mantis, we got you covered. Do you have a mantis in your yard? Are you craving souvlaki? Don't crush that mantis's head. Come to Manny's instead. Come get your fix at Manny Marcos's Mantis Sanctuary and Pita Pit. Mantis is some good pita.